like to talk about organizational change, in particular, the role of emotion in organizational change. When you're talking about big change inside companies, whether you're talking about a new large corporate policy or a merger and acquisition or a new computer system for the whole enterprise, any large-scale change is difficult. And the research suggests the following: most large-scale change fails. And what I mean by failure is that it goes over budget, it doesn't deliver on the metrics that we cared about, doesn't save us the time, increase the revenue, whatever the target was for this change, we fall short of that. That's what I mean by failure. The question becomes, why do most large-scale org changes fail? The best answer is not that the people making decisions made a bad decision. Let me clarify. It's not that they chose the wrong computer system or the wrong company with which to partner. That's usually not the culprit for why large-scale change fails. Number one is always people issues, execution issues. And there's one issue above all else that is evident, and that is creating a sense of urgency at the beginning of change. When executives want to sell this needed change to the organization and other constituents, they have to create a sense of urgency. Now, many people's tendencies when they're in this position is to use simple logic and facts, and they pull out the bar graphs and the pie charts, and they have a very rational, logical argument. That's useful, but you need to understand that that should be step two, not step one. If you actually want people to think that this large change that you're advocating is important and that they're going to follow you, you want to start with a vehicle that lets them feel, not just think, but feel that you're correct and that this issue is important. Let me give you a couple of examples. One that comes to mind is when a manager wants to tell the team about why some of their work is upsetting a customer that's outside the firm. They can do it one of two ways. They can look at the team and explain, this is the feedback I received, here's the specific numbers that suggest your work was good but not great. We could do that rational approach. That might work, it might not. Most of the time, because you're leading with thinking instead of feeling, it's not going to work terribly well. Here's a better example. You could get in front of the team and you could show, just as one example, you could show a video of the customer explaining emphatically with emotion why they thought the work that they received from your organization was subpar. It's not a magic bullet, but it's real, it's from a source that's authentic, and it shows emotion because you see all those nonverbals. It works a lot better than simple facts and figures. That's the power of emotion. Let me think of one more. Let me share one more that's really, really good. I'm thinking about a famous story about a woman who took over the Department of Human Resources at a large organization. She was the new boss in HR, and she knew, based on her analysis of the culture, that they were far too bureaucratic, way too many rules, regs, and listings in the big policy book for the organization, and she knew that that bureaucracy had to be a thing of their past, not in their future. So she realized she could explain that in some detail, but she also realized intuitively the power of getting people to feel instead of just think about an issue. And so what she decided to do as the new boss was to call a meeting, and she invited the whole team out to the parking lot. And they assembled, they didn't know why they were there, and she waded out into the crowd with them, and in her arms, she carried the bloated HR policy books from this organization. She didn't say a word, and they all looked at her a little strange because she was the new boss and they didn't know her yet, but she walked straight out into the middle of that crowd carrying these books, kind of got herself some elbow room, dropped the books, opened up her suit coat, pulled out lighter fluid, doused the books in fluid, lit a match, and started a fire. How do you think everyone reacted? It was powerful. Without saying a word, this is important, without saying a word, she told them volumes about how that level of red tape and bureaucracy was a thing of the past and not symbolic of their future. Now, to be clear, I am not encouraging you to start fires. I want to go on record saying that. Having said that, do you see the difference between using a vehicle that allows them to feel the importance of the issue instead of just logically understand the issue? The question for you, next time you have to step up with your team or your organization and get them to marshal and follow you to the goal, will you find that vehicle that lets them feel the importance, see it, feel it, taste it, smell it, feel it, and not just know it? That's the power of using emotion to manage change.